10 more European cities that have been ruined by over-tourism by Wolter's World. Now, we have been here before. We watched a video where he talked about 10 cities that were kind of, ruined by tourism, but he has more. Guys, we gotta stop going over there and ruining places. I want to go there and it to be nice, pristine, and just like the cultures intended it to be. But you all over here ruining everything. So without further ado, guys, let's see what other 10 cities he has for us. Let's dive in.
Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolter's World, and today we're in Ouro Preto, Brazil. And no, I'm not going to be talking about actually South America. I'm actually going to be talking about Europe, and specifically about more cities that have been impacted by over-tourism in Europe.
This guy goes everywhere.
We put out a video about 8 cities that were destroyed by over-tourism.
Oh, it's 8 cities.
Bit dramatic in the title, I know, but how else do you get people to watch videos anymore? It's crazy. But the thing is, there are cities that are really impacted by over-tourism, and the thing is, there is a difference between over-tourism and just crowded at a certain time of year or a certain time of day. And I think that's something we can make a difference of. Because what I'm trying to focus on are cities that are really being impacted, whether it's in transportation, whether it's accommodation, whether it's just so many people I can't handle it, or destroying the infrastructure. That's what I'm trying to focus on in these videos. And I know the irony of a travel vlogger talking about over-tourism. Look, that's why we're here in Brazil. We want to show other places around the world that you can go, because if crowds aren't your thing, come to Ouro Preto. It's a beautiful colonial city you can enjoy and just love about Brazil. Best food in Brazil as well. And
that's something I've always thought of. I know, me personally, yes, I do want to go to the Louvre and to see the Eiffel Tower and all that stuff, but as I've gotten older and the more I've learned about other cultures, it's kind of starting to go down. Like, it's not one of the top places I want to go to anymore. There's just so much beauty within the world and all over the countries that you need to try all of them. I mean, I'm not saying each city is exactly the same, but there are awesome things in those cities that are not going to be in the other ones, right? Does that make sense? I hope I'm not just like talking to myself. Somebody understands me.
That's the thing, is there's a lot of places you can go around the world, and that's what I wanted to show here. Also, I'm in Brazil right now. I'm not in Europe, so that kind of impacts where I can film, right? But the thing is, what we try to do in our videos is educate travelers so they have a better idea what to expect when they go places, but also to help give them options, other places they could go if they don't want to go to over-tourism places. So you can learn about places like here in Ouro Preto in Brazil, or if you want to go to Chile, or if you want to go to China. We have all kinds of stuff to kind of help educate you and give you options. That's what we're trying to do. But also what we try to do is give people information so they can find a way that they can make an impact on individuals in different countries they go to, because we as tourists really can help out communities. We can help individual owners of businesses, we can help out the local economies when we go, because tourism is a—
You know what? That's a great idea, because I literally thought about, how could I get sponsors for my channel and whatnot, because I love cultures. Even the water that I'm drinking. Look, not like I'm sponsored by this, but this is from Germany, right? It's high quality mineral water. And I thought about reaching out to them. Hey, look, I drink your water. Why not? Hey, I'll advertise it for you because it's something I care about. It's a product that's very good. But it's like, even when you go overseas, you can impact small businesses. You can talk with people. You can interview with people. It's something I want to do personally down the road if my channel gets big enough, which, hopefully one day it does. That's something I'm passionate about. I would love to do this and bring more videos to you guys and have my own experiences. And that way, people can make reaction videos of the Angry Spud. Who knows one day? But this is why, people like Wolter, it's very important to bring out these ideas and say things like this, because some people are just scared to do it. But if it's something you're passionate about, just get out there and just do it, just like Nike says.
Part of economies in a lot of countries that are impacted by over-tourism, but places that aren't impacted as well, because tourism really can help places like here in Ouro Preto, and therefore it makes it easier for you to make better.
Yeah, because I would have never thought of this. I've never even heard of this city before, honestly. I've heard of a lot of random ones, but something like this, I'm sure the average person, especially American, only knows about Paris, or only knows about, the Eiffel Tower or something like that, because you see it in movies, or I don't know. I can't think of something off the top of my head besides something like that, but nobody knows about other things. You need to get out and explore.
Use of your resources when you do travel. So let's get to the list. But I think if I look at cities that have been impacted, I know there's one city that a lot of people mentioned in the video, in the comments, and also I've seen personally. For those who didn't know, I did my PhD. I'm a doctor. I'm actually a professor, Mark Walters. I actually did my PhD in Brazil, in Lisbon. I lived there for 5 years. My youngest son was born there, and I've seen how this city has transformed from the early 2000s to the 2020s, and how much more tourism's gone in there, and how it has improved the economy. But now it's really become over-touristed in terms of people can't get on the metro to get to work if they're downtown sometimes. Accommodation. We used to live downtown. We lived there. We were a family, all this kind of stuff. Our friends all live downtown. They've all been priced out because the Airbnbs, the apartment rentals that are there, has made it unaffordable for normal Portuguese families. And so that over-tourism really kind of been alive. But I think the one thing that annoys everybody the most about the over-tourism in Lisbon are all the tuk-tuks. Now, the tourists love them because the hills there, it's like here in Ouro Preto, lots of hills. And if you're a chunky traveler like me, you don't like hills. So those tuk-tuks are nice, but they clog up traffic as well. So that's why Lisbon really is on that list, because
they're called
it does get a bit much.
tuk-tuks.
That's why I'd say if you want to go, don't go in the summertime. Go in the shoulder season, off season, because Lisbon is great all year round, but sometimes it can just be overwhelmed with tourists, okay? If you want to go to some other Portuguese cities that are by there that maybe aren't as crowded, you know, you can still enjoy yourself. You can go to Évora and see the Bone Chapel there, and the cathedral, and the temple that's there.
Okay, that almost looks, it's a little blurry now.
So
let's go back.
You can go to Évora and see the...
That looks like a cemetery. Not a cemetery, but like you would hide tombs or something like that. It's kind of catacombs. That's what I want to say. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
The Bone Chapel there, and the cathedral, and the temple that's there. You can go to Tomar. I mean, there's places nearby that you can go to get that Portuguese feel without being overrun, okay? Now, Lisbon was the city that actually was the last one on my list in my first video, but it's the first one on this next one. And another city that almost made, if I would have done top 10 last time, is Florence, Italy, okay? Florence is so overrun with tourism that they're actually making laws against eating ice cream while you're walking down the street, sitting down and eating, and having a picnic kind of stuff. Like, they're contemplating restrictions on the tourists because there's just so many tourists, they can't handle it. And that's one of the things. So if you're walking down the main strip and, you know, you're going by the Duomo, you know, you're going to go on the bridge, you know, with all the shops on it, it just gets so packed, it's so overwhelmed. And for the locals, they can't enjoy the downtown either. And so it can't be a
Could you imagine if they made a law that says you cannot eat ice cream and walk at the same time? That seems a little pathetic. I get what they're trying to do behind all that, but I think that's a little bit extreme. It reminds me of the military, to where, like, when we were training, and you had like free time or like a free pass or whatnot, during your specialized training, not during like basic, but you're not allowed to walk and talk on the cell phone at the same time. You're not allowed to eat and talk, or and walk at the same time. That's what it reminded me of. So I thought a little militaristic there.
Bit much. And for a lot of tourists, they're almost like, is it worth it to see David with all these tourists there? And for me, all these places are still worth seeing, even if it's over touristed. But you might want to think about other times to go. Like Florence, it's beautiful all year round. If you can go during the week, or if you go, in the fall or in the springtime, that will take out a lot of the tourists that are here. And that's one of those things you got to think about with these over touristed places. Some of them, their cities really survive on tourism. That would help them out, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
they
true.
Need to have the tourism, but they kind of want to have it. Hey, can we parse it out a little bit differently? So like they're not coming all in 1 month. It's coming over a few months time.
Maybe there could be like incentives or something, to like cater to certain people. I'm not sure how you would do that, but like I thought it wasn't just the summer that was like the main time. I thought like September, like more so the fall, was like the big travel season where you want to go overseas and whatnot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody knows more about it, but obviously I've never done it, so I don't know.
I want to talk about Mykonos, Greece, next on our list. Now, Mykonos is an island in Greece that it's beautiful to go to, and people go there. And this is one of those ones people feel that the Instagrammers ruined it because they took all their pictures and all this stuff. People want to get their Mykonos pictures there. Yes, that's why Santorini, Athens, and Mykonos, 3 over-touristed places in Greece that you want to be aware of. And Mykonos itself is beautiful, but in the summertime it gets so overwhelmed. But in the wintertime, there's not a lot of services going on, so it's not as much fun to go there then. But you have to realize there's a lot of islands in Greece. It's not just Mykonos and Santorini. We were in Crete last summer when Mykonos and Santorini were having the biggest numbers ever, Athens ever, and we're talking to some of the people.
I thought Crete was pretty popular too.
Outside of like Inhania and Heraklion, like there's nobody here. So you can go to other islands in Greece instead of Mykonos and get a great experience without the crowds all over you all the time and the waiting in line for an Instagrammer to take their picture.
Wait, maybe somebody knows this. If there's a bunch of islands around like that, can you, I don't want to say bring your own boat, but like rent a yacht or something and just like island hop and just go to all the different places around there? Like, is that something you're allowed to do? Like, is that legal or not legal? I think that would be kind of neat to do that.
Now let's talk about a small town that was unfortunately made super famous by a movie, okay? And that is Hallstatt, Austria. If you're not sure, Hallstatt, Austria is this beautiful, like, lakeside, village in Austria. If you ever watched the old Rick Steves, TV show, he actually has it in his intro there. But it was one of the things they based the town from Frozen on. And so people are like, and they finally realize just how gorgeous the place is, because it's gorgeous. But it is a tiny town. We're talking like...
Hold on. I thought that was supposed to be like in Sweden or Norway or something. Maybe like Arendelle, they're saying that was in Hallstatt. Interesting.
A couple thousand people. I mean, it's a small town. And so many tourists come in. I mean, at one time they put up a wall to block the view to stop the tourists from kind of overtaking the city. And
wow.
It's an example of one of those towns. It's just a small town. It can't handle that number of tourists, and they don't know what to do. They're trying to figure out ways to do it. So if you're thinking about that, maybe go to a city that can handle tourism more. Maybe go to, Salzburg, which has a lot of tourists, but they can handle it. Innsbruck, Austria, which is fantastic as well. But just know there
Salzburg,
are these
that's
small
Germany,
towns.
right?
That's one thing I'd like you all to put in the comments. What are some small towns you see get overrun that just can't handle? But they have.
I'm curious to know that one too.
I feel bad putting these cities on the list because all these places on this list are fantastic to visit, well worth going to. I've been to them. But I also feel for them. But I'm like, we have to think about this, right? And that kind of goes into with like Hallstatt gets nailed because people come in for the day and just go. Another place is Toledo, Spain, and Toledo is probably one of the most popular.
We have a city here where I live, and it's called Toledo. I didn't know that was like Spanish. Toledo.
Day trips from Madrid, but it's also the Catholic capital of Spain. The capital's Madrid, but the Catholic capital is in Toledo, so it gets a lot of tourists. And I don't necessarily think it's over-touristed itself, but I think it represents those over-touristed places on the weekends. So when you're looking for day trips for places you're going to go, if you're going to be staying someplace for a week or so,
Denmark
don't do
or
your day trip, on the weekend when everybody's going there, because that's when it gets overrun. Maybe go during the week so you have smaller crowds, so then the city can kind of, or the town, the village can really take you in and kind of show you a better time. Because that's one of those things, these villages and these places, they survive on the tourism and it makes a difference for them, but sometimes it just gets a little too much. And kind of continuing on with our Spanish theme, I think Mallorca's been popular forever. I remember I used to live in Germany
all the boats.
Like 20 years ago, and they used to call it like the 17. Bundesland, the 17th German state, because so many Germans retired there, so many Germans went there. But Mallorca, Ibiza, the Canary Islands, they're very much in the summer, they're overcrowded. Fall, spring, winter, no. They're
so
fine.
You got to leave and go somewhere
there's
else.
Tourists here, but it's not like the summer where everybody goes. Because it's beach resorts. I mean, it's like Florida in the summer in the U.S. Everybody goes down there because that's where you go for the beaches. And Mallorca is one of those things that really gets kind of overwhelmed with the number of party tourists. So if you are going to go there, make sure you go and explore some of the cultural stuff as well. Or maybe look at some of the other beach towns. Maybe not just go to the Costa del Sol, go to Costa Brava, go other places. Go to the North Coast. Yeah, the water's a little chillier, but it's different and it's still fun. And the thing is, when we look at over-tourism, it's not just about cities and towns. Sometimes it's about nature. And there's countries like Iceland. Reykjavik itself sometimes does suffer from over-tourism, especially in the summertime, but also the nature around there gets so much, because most people just stay in the southwest corner by Reykjavik. They'll go down and see the icebergs, and they'll go to the Westman Islands, and then they'll come back. And they don't explore the entire other...
That is amazing. You could literally swim out there and just get on that iceberg. Now, I don't know if I recommend it because like some polar bear might just come out of nowhere or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. It's right there. How close? That's so close. Can you get to an iceberg like that and just go out there and just sit on it or something?
They're part of the island. Look, if you go on and explore more, you really will be by yourself. Now, the driving on the eastern part and the eastern fjords in Iceland, take my word for it, it is a little scary sometimes. But the thing is, it's beautiful, and you get away from all the tourists, and that's where you see Reykjavik just gets overwhelmed, and that southwest corner, it is one of those things you got to think about, because you'll see with the over-tourism in Iceland, there's one-lane roads where literally tourists will run into each other because they don't realize you have to wait for someone else to go. So that's another thing where the over-tourism comes into a safety issue as well. And if we look at over-tourism, there's big cities as well. And like I say, big cities a lot of times have a better chance of kind of taking in the over-tourism, or where the over-tourism is more of like just
they can handle it. That's why.
I've got 3 cities that kind of fall in this category. 1, Edinburgh in Scotland. Oh my God, it is so gorgeous. It is the best
I cannot wait to do videos on Scotland. don't they call it like back then like Jotaland or something like that, like the Vikings did? But Edinburgh, like, I just cannot wait to do Scotland. I cannot be. Stay tuned for those videos, guys. It's gonna be so much fun.
Tourist city to see in Scotland, highly recommend it. But when you're there, you'll notice if you're on the Royal Mile, if you're walking around, you go to the vintage stores, go to the castle, wherever, there's always people around. It's always tourists. There's always people there because it's beautiful all year round. And so sometimes that gets a bit much for some people. And so that's why if you're in Edinburgh, that's why I'm going to say day trips can make a good idea for you. Or go and explore. Go to the Highlands. Go to the Isle of Skye. Go to Ploughney outside the Isle of Skye. Go to Fort William. You can go explore because Scotland's really easy to drive around and explore on your own to get away from the
That's nice to know.
Edinburgh, to kind of spread it out. But where Edinburgh is also suffering is in accommodation because so many of these like apartment rental things that people can get in vacation rentals have taken away places for the locals to stay. So it's really driven up the price of accommodation, kind of like in Dublin. So that's the thing. Another city that I feel is a bit over touristed, but no one ever talks about on their list, is Munich. And Munich, Germany, though it can handle tons of tourists.
Hey, I got that sign, Hofbrauhaus. I got that sign right back there. Can you guys see it? Yeah, there you go, right there. There's a place over here, a little restaurant that's exactly this. I haven't been to it yet, but I'm not sure what it's about, but one day I'm going to go.
Events there. They have conventions. They have Oktoberfest, all kinds of stuff. Munich sometimes can feel a bit overwhelmed just in the kind of main pedestrian street. And when it comes to, oh my God, when it comes to watching the Glockenspiel, you really feel the entire world collapsing in on you with everyone there. And it can be a bit much. Now, is it super over-touristed? No, but it's an overcrowded kind of thing that you might feel. So that's why I say Munich's great. But go explore more of Bavaria. Go up into Frankfurt. Go to Bamberg. Go see that. Go to Nuremberg, Regensburg. There's all kinds of great day trips from Munich you can do to kind of get away from the crowds, okay? And then there's one of my favorite cities to go to, and this is one that I don't know if I'd call it over tourism, but I'd say it over bachelor partyism, is Prague in the Czech Republic.
Oh.
And Prague on the weekends
my brother's been there.
Is full of people coming in for the great beer, the great food, and the great prices. And it gets overwhelming. And the thing is, from the castle up on the hill, that walk down across Charles Bridge, which is gorgeous, to the Old Town Square. I mean, it is the prettiest walk, honestly, probably the prettiest walk in Europe. And you understand why all the tourists are there, but it's always big groups coming through and big groups coming through. And it's one of those places that it's funny if you walk like literally 2 blocks off that route.
It looks like a protest. It just looks like a protest.
Incredibly for food and accommodation, all kinds of just being a few blocks away from that main like walk over touristed way. And that's where I think when we talk about over-tourism, sometimes it's just like parts of town that can't handle it versus the entire city. In Prague, they're doing a good job of kind of trying to get people to spread out more. So I got to give them that. But one of the faults of all these cities, it's not a fault, it's the fact that all these places are fantastic places to visit, so people want to go there. But they're trying to figure out how can we get it so we have the right amount of people. And that's one thing I'd like to think about. Let's have a discussion below, a civil discussion below, to talk about tourism and how is it, we can do a better job of, getting out there. That's one thing is our videos. We film all around the world. Literally hundreds of videos around Central and South America, Caribbean, all kinds of. We got stuff from Africa, Asia, trying to spread people out to see more places around the world. So if you have these cities that are over touristed, what are your recommendations for other places to go to get that vibe? Because for Prague, if you're getting overwhelmed, Bratislava, Slovakia is a nice, easier version of that with a lot less tourists. And honestly, people are just as cool. But don't tell the Czechs that. So what cities did I leave out on my list of over-tourism in Europe? Let us know in the comments below, but also let us know about other over-touristed places around the world so we can help people know, hey, maybe I need to go visit another place to kind of spread the wealth out. Because that's one of the things we like to do is show these small towns and these smaller places like Ouro Preto in Brazil to get tourist money to go to more parts of the world.
You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and drop a comment down. And because I'm thinking of something, what or how to combat this in a sense. So I'm going to say maybe advertise and then promote people to stay for like a week, right? People to stay for a week. That way they can go to all those small places, you know what I mean? So maybe you spend one day in the famous part of the country and whatnot, and then like spread it out and start going to the other places. I think, promoting that and encourage people to do that might allow, I don't know, it to free open, have more room for other people to kind of go there. And you'll get to experience those other cities that, don't have anybody come there. So yeah, promote people to stay for a week to, I don't know, spread out their time. And how else do I want to say? Promote people to stay for a week to spread out their time in different places. including not, I'll put in quotation, not, oh my gosh, not as popular. Okay, how about advertise, promote people to stay for a week to spread out their time in different places, including not as popular places, maybe? Does that sound dumb? Oh. How about that? I think that would work. Yay, I added to the community. I contributed, yes. All right. So that'd be cool if Wolter replied to that one, but I think that's kind of important. He said it, you know, a lot of these cities cannot handle like an influx of people, but there are, you know, some that how do I want to say it? The cities that are bigger, when they come, they have a lot more money, so they can accommodate those people. These smaller ones cannot handle that. So I think kind of just spreading out, you know, your time throughout the country might make it a lot easier. I know that's something I'm going to do personally down the road when the time comes, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, I don't know. I think that's like the best thing I can do. You can't force people to do it, you know, you just can only encourage it. So guys, let me know what you think. If you see my comment, go ahead and comment on my comment and let me know. All right guys, the Angry Spud is out.